Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by on my channel. My name is Elo and I'm a Nigerian living in the Netherlands. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, a recommendation on any topic that you would like for me to talk about. That being said, welcome to a new video, guys. Happy Sunday, guys. Like, I literally just got back from church and I realized that I never really gave you guys the gist or the story about the struggles of finding a church as a Nigerian in the Netherlands. So for those of you that are new here, I've lived in the Netherlands for about 2 years now, and I come from an English-speaking country. So finding a church here as a Christian was something that's very important for me, and it's been a struggle. I have stories to tell you guys. So if this looks like something that you're interested in, of course, catch me on the other side. So let's get into the gist, into the tea. Coming here, I was a bit worried about finding a church. And, obviously with the big language barrier, it was something that I was very worried about because back home, I went to church every Sunday. It was something that's very important to me and that I take really seriously, especially for my family and for my children. My children were in children's church, they did a Bible study, the whole works. And so when we first got here, of course, we had to settle down. So I was doing online service. But then there are no provisions for children when it comes to online service, which is something I feel like a lot of churches really need to look into. There's live streaming for the adults, but there's really nothing for the children. So I kind of resorted to finding like Bible stories and things like that for my children. But you know how kids can be, their attention span can be very, very short, especially when they're in the comfort of their homes. So that didn't really work out well. And thus began, English. I can't speak English this afternoon. That's how my search for a church started. Now, I'm part of a community on WhatsApp for Nigerians living here in the Netherlands. So, of course, where else will I go to than go and ask the people that, come from the same place as me, that have been here for longer than me? Like, hey, I live in Rotterdam. I'm looking for a church. Can someone, point me in the right direction? And someone posted about their church, say, hey, this is, you can come here for service, this and that. I was really excited, looked on the map for the location, and it was literally like an 8 minutes, like less than 10-minute walk anyways from my apartment at the time. And I was like, oh, this is great. It's close by. I can walk with the kids. That should be lovely. And it's a Nigerian church. Let's go. Come Sunday morning now, your girl gets dress her kids up. I'm so excited to go to church. It's my first time going to church in the Netherlands. I'm so happy. We get to the place. It's in a hotel, like a little room, like a conference room in a hotel. And, I find my way there. First of all, it wasn't like really accessible because I took my stroller. My daughter was in a stroller, so it wasn't really accessible in terms of like strollers or like wheelchairs or anything like that. But we found our way. There was a very kind man that helped me with the stroller. We got into the church. It was a really small service, and when I saw that it was a very small service, I was a bit worried because from the look of things, there was no provision for children. Mind you, that was the most important thing for me because I could join my church at back home online, but I wanted something that made space or made room for children. But then I saw another family that had kids in like the same age group as my children. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's a family church, but there's nothing for children. So this is fine. We took our seats. I think I sat in there was like limited rows. It was a very small service. I'm talking less than 20 people. So I took my place in like maybe the third row or so with my kids, and we sat down for service. It was going okay. But I wasn't like feeling connected. But I think it's probably because I was really worried that there was nothing for the children. Few minutes into the service, after the praise and the worship and everything, my kids start to get bored. Of course, the service is not targeted at children. They are just there for the ride. And so, they want to start jumping all over the place. They want to get up. They want snacks. They want this. I'm trying to, keep them occupied, but that's not working. We're still, going through the service. I'm starting to get a bit annoyed and, agitated because the kids just, want to play. They want to do one thing or the other, and I cannot even focus on what's being said. So I'm really starting to get like, oh, can you guys please just keep it down? Just keep it down, keep it down. It's a small group, so of course, the people around us notice all the activity. But there's also another family, but they are behind, so I don't know what's going on with them. The pastor comes on and he starts to preach. And few minutes into his preaching or so, a few minutes or so into his preaching, the pastor looks me straight in the face and says, "Madam, control your children. They are disturbing me." I kid you not. That was the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. I literally wanted the ground to open up and swallow me. And like any self-respecting person, I got up, I packed my stuff, I carried my children, and I walked out of that service. Now, mind you, this is a Nigerian church, so we are all Nigerians. And that experience rubbed me all shades of wrong. Because first of all, it was my first time in that church. And for a service that small, I am very sure that the pastor would be aware that this is an unfamiliar face. I had kids, which we all know are not the easiest people to get in a line, especially kids that young. So the fact that the pastor would stop speaking and address me directly in such a harsh way was not only embarrassing, but also showed his lack of empathy. And there was no way I was going to sit through the rest of that service. Anyways, I left the church and I never went back there. And I am still rubbed the wrong way about it because I just don't understand how that man thought that was the right approach. Now, as a believer, I will not speak badly about a servant of God, but he could have done better. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And I low-key still give the person that's constantly sending that church on the group chat every like clockwork, every weekend, they are sending the posters, "Come and join us for service this Sunday." I give that person bombastic side eye every time I see the post, like, you guys embarrassed me. It's not my fault that you guys don't have provision for a family. Maybe when you want to invite people, put a little caveat that this is not a family-friendly church. But I just kept quiet and I moved on and I never went back there. And when I got back home, I was so annoyed. I was embarrassed. I was annoyed. Told my husband about it, told my friends, and everybody was like, "No, he did not." I'm like, "Yeah, he did." But that was my number one experience with churches in the Netherlands, in Nigerian church. So after that first experience now, I kind of just stopped trying to look for churches because the goal at first had been to find a Nigerian church because Nigerian services are just different. Our approach to service and worship is different. And I think at that point I wanted something familiar because I was in a different country with, different language and everything was really new. And that was the one thing that I wanted to be like a form of comfort or something that was familiar. So checking around, I couldn't find any other Nigerian church that was like that close to me. And I wasn't even willing to try because I just felt so sad that, I would have such an experience with people that are supposed to be my kindred, But anyways, after a while, I started again looking for a church. And then I met with a Nigerian girl when I was still actively trying to make friends and, meet people. I met with this Nigerian girl that recommended a church to me. But this church was like a Scottish church. And again, I was still looking for Nigerian churches. So I didn't really go with her recommendation until one day I was just like, I have nothing to lose. Let's go to this Scottish church and see how it goes. And it was such an amazing experience. They were so sweet. They were so nice. The service was really good. They had space for children's church. So the children went to do their own thing, do their own Bible study. And the adults got to, listen to the word and praise. It was very Oyibo. That was like my first time experiencing like an Oyibo church. But it was actually such a wonderful service. And, after the service, we had drinks, we had cake. I had like a lovely cheesecake. My husband and I went together. We had coffee, we had tea. We spoke to the people around because they knew we were new. So, a lot of people walked up to us, chatted with us, made us feel very welcome. And that was such a lovely experience that, erased the bad taste that I had in my mouth from my fellow people. And, that was really, really lovely. I really liked that church. Now, fast forward to now that we have moved out of Rotterdam, obviously. Again, I started thinking to myself, the search for another church begins, because there's no way I'm driving to Rotterdam every Sunday. But then I'd spoken to a friend of mine that attends a Dutch church. She lives in another city that is not too far from here, but she attends a Dutch church that has branches everywhere. The name of the church is called Evangelie de Deur, and they have like branches in like different municipalities in the Netherlands, and I think also outside of the Netherlands. Is a Dutch speaking church, but according to my friend, they have like English translations and other languages for people that do not speak Dutch. And she and her family had been attending that church for quite a while, and they really liked it. So I thought to myself, I already had a good experience with a non-Nigerian church. I don't really have much to lose. The kids speak Dutch. They understand Dutch. That's fine for them. I'm the only one that's probably going to struggle. My husband as well with understanding the service. And, if there's room for translation, let's try it. And I think at this point, I just got into a point where it wasn't really about me anymore. It was mostly about my children. Because again, I can find services online. I can find resources online. But with my kids, there is no provision for that for online service. So I really wanted to find a physical church for them to, attend. And so after we moved in here and we had settled down, I decided to go visit this church that my friend had recommended. I found it's like 20 minutes drive. I also found another church that's in Eindhoven, but Eindhoven is like much farther. And for me, it didn't make sense for me to be driving 90 minutes back and forth every Sunday going to church. So I decided to go to this one, which is Evangelie de Deur, Gemeente Den Bosch. Went in there and it's like a proper Dutch church. Settled the kids into, I found Sunday school class for the kids. They were really nicely welcomed. The people there were really sweet. I went into the service that day. I didn't ask for a translation because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know who to ask or anything. So I just went into the service and, all in all, it was a good service. I understood a bit of what was being said with my limited vocabulary. It was a really good service. The sermon was really good. I mean, it also helps that I study my Bible by myself, so I really could follow the lesson that the pastor was talking about because, I could pinpoint, what he was talking about. Just going through like the verses we were reading. I was reading in English. Of course, it was in Dutch, but I was able to find the Bible passages and the books in English. And so I really kind of understood the lesson. And after service, a couple of people walked up to me, spoke to me like, hey, are you new? Listen, that. And they were really sweet. Same whole setting of, there's tea and coffee after church. They were so sweet. They were so nice. Like the people there were so warm, so welcoming. And that encouraged me to want to go again. And I think I spoke to someone that was like, oh, I met a Nigerian couple actually. And they're like, oh, hi, how are you? And they're like, oh, they have translation. Just ask someone for it next Sunday when you come and, you'll be sorted out. And for me, that was good. Asked the kids how they enjoyed the service and they loved it. And so for me, I was like, yeah, I think we found where we are going to be going. So far, we've been attending that church and it's been amazing. The people there are so kind. They are so sweet. I've met a lot of Africans there as well, not just Nigerians. I've met someone from Angola. I've met someone from Zimbabwe, like so many Africans that speak Dutch now, Nigerians, obviously, people from just like outside Surinamese. I met someone from Cuba today. Like, the people there have been so kind, so welcoming, and I've been going back. My translator is like my buddy now. I love it when she translates for me. It's so fun and so relatable. I first thought translation was going to be like an automated machine just crooning in my ear, but they have a whole department that is dedicated to translating for people that do not understand Dutch. And it's not just in English. I think they have Portuguese, they have Polish, and Spanish, maybe. I think those are the languages that I know, that there's English, there's Polish, there's Portuguese, and I think Spanish. And that for me is so impressive, just to see how inclusive that they are, which is what the church is supposed to be. The church is supposed to welcome everyone. And Evangeline Dider has done that in such an amazing way. The fact that they have an entire department that their job is to translate for non-Dutch speakers so that they can feel welcome in the house of the Lord is just amazing. So yeah, that is the church that I now attend with my kids, and I intend to continue attending it till, God help me, I will not need a translator anymore. But till then, it's fun, it's great. Anywho, sorry to bore you guys with all this long gist. I just thought to do this video to encourage someone today, in case you're a Nigerian or you're African or you don't speak Dutch and you are looking for a familiar place to go worship God. I want to encourage you to step out of the box, because I didn't have such a great experience finding a church, especially because I went to a Nigerian church that happened. And that almost ruined the experience of wanting to go to church for me. But looking at it, the other churches that I have gone to that were unfamiliar have been the places where I have been welcomed with open arms, where they have shown me so much love and warmth and kindness. So I thought to make this video today for whoever it is that is struggling to find a place, struggling to find a church. Sometimes step out of the comfort zone. Sometimes go to that church that seems like you're not going to be comfortable because you don't understand what's going to be said, because it's different from how you are used to worshiping. Go there. Sometimes that is where you will be welcomed. In my experience, that has been the case. The service in church is literally in Dutch, but I get the word. And it's not just going to church for the sake of going to church. I connect with the word that is being shared, because by the time it's translated to me, I get it. And the people there have made it so lovely. I can be very shy. I can be very socially awkward. So I most times in a large setting, I will not walk up to someone I don't know and initiate a conversation. But every Sunday, I am literally fighting my way out of out of conversations, because people are just walking up to you so lovely, and so just trying to talk to you and make you feel welcome and just wanting to know more about you. And that is what Christianity is about. It's the gospel of love. The bedrock of Christianity is love. For God so loved the world that he sent his only son to come and die. The entire basis of Christianity is love. So when you find a place that the foundation is love, trust me, the language barrier will be sorted out. And I would highly recommend Evangeline Dider to anyone that doesn't speak Dutch. Go there. They have made provisions to make sure that you feel included, you feel welcomed, and you feel seen. They will translate for you. Just ask for a translator. Whenever somebody is welcoming you to church in the morning, just tell them, hey, I don't understand Dutch. Is there someone that can translate for me? And they will be so kind to do that for you. So yeah, I just wanted to do this quick chit chat, give you guys the tea and the gist on my experience so far finding a church in the Netherlands. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any funny encounters finding in church here, give me the gist as well. Let me know I'm not alone, because this is my own experience. It's one kind. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.